are down here on the grid getting ready to go again. The Mazda USF 2000 Grand Prix of Alabama presented by Cooper Tires. My name is Tony Laporta, your host of Road to Indy TV. And we're down here next to our P2 starter. You're going to have a hard time missing him. It's bright and it's yellow. It is the Team Pelfrey machine of Kalen Frederick, our youngest driver competing on the Mazda Road to Indy, presented by Cooper Tires. Kalen, only 14 years old. I don't even remember what I was doing when I was 14. Kalen, great effort in qualifying. You're starting P2 right behind race winner from St. Petersburg, Oliver Askew. What's the strategy off the start on this one?
I think the speed, if possible, get a position, but just get right behind Oliver, stick behind him, maybe wait until he makes a mistake, and just take advantage of that.
Now, yeah, sticking to Oliver Askew would be a wise choice. He's done great in his first two races, again, podium and a win in St. Petersburg. He starts with the Soul Red Mazda on pole. I want to talk to you about being the youngest driver. You're not one of. You are the youngest driver. 14 years old, balancing the life of a, not really a preteen, but a teenager, and trying to be an up-and-coming race car driver. What's the hardest part about what you have to do all season?
For me, it's basically keeping up with all the schoolwork, because obviously I'm a freshman and I don't really want to quit school yet, just in case I have something to fall back to in case racing doesn't work. But it's mainly just catching up on all the schoolwork and doing stuff while I'm gone.
Well, I'm sure the chicks dig race car drivers. I mean, I don't know. Your middle school, your high school? I'm not sure. Where do you tell people you're a race car driver at? Come on, help me out.
I mean, whenever I tell people that I'm a race car driver, they just don't really think much of it. They think I just go out, turn a wheel, step on some pedals, and that's it.
It's just that simple, right? Best of luck starting P2 here. We look to see you in victory lane on the podium here a little bit later today. Good luck, Kalen.
Thank you very much.
On behalf of everyone at Cooper Tires, drivers, start your Mazda engines.
So here we go, folks. They are 2x2. Good insight there from Anthony Martin. We'll have more from Anthony as this race gets underway. 24 drivers, 12 rows of USF 2000 competitors ready to go. The opening rung of the Mazda Road to Indy. Two rookies on the front row. It's both Americans. Oliver Askew on the inside, Kalen Frederick on the outside. Cape and Team Pelfrey, ladies and gentlemen, getting set to go. They're side by side coming here onto the front straightaway as we get started our doubleheader of USF 2000. And we are green, green, green. Kyle Kimball waving our green flag, the Mazda operations manager, and it's a great start for Askew. He will lead into turn number one. Everyone else playing nicely here early on. We get chaos occasionally here. They're 2x2 coming up through turn number one. You got to be smart here going through 2 and 3. Back down the hill, the Alabama roller coaster. The car gets really unweighty coming down. They'll get back on the throttle as they work their way up over to turn number 5. This is where they can kind of settle in, but also a great opportunity to overtake the first time in to turn number 5. Newman Walks drivers trying to work their way forward. It looks like Dickerson slots into the 6th spot. He's got, I think, Renus VK right behind him in 7th, and Andre Castro in 8th. Then it's Corey Enders in 9th. Side by side, 10th and 11th. That's going to be, I believe, Luke Gavin alongside one of the Team Pelfrey cars. But again, Michael, great start for Oliver Askew. He is able to avoid issue number 1, and that's the opening corner.
I was a little worried there for a second about Robert McGinnis. He and Renus VK were battling. He allowed VK to go as VK got to the inside down in turn number 1. He allowed VK to get himself back in line, and then McGinnis under attack there from Dakota Dickerson. So a clean opening first lap here, the USF 2000 round number 3 as we complete lap number 1. But Oliver Askew as the same in St. Petersburg. He leading here thus far at Barber Motorsports Park.
Anthony, give me the mindset after the opening lap. You know, I know you're fired up. The emotions are all there. You want to get through the opening lap. Are you calmed down a little bit by the end of lap number 1? Does it take a couple of laps to kind of get really into your groove?
It really does take a couple of laps. You've got a lot of adrenaline and a lot of build-up coming up to the race, and the first lap is where it's all happening.
Hold on. Driver off in turn number 1. We had somebody try to go to the inside of 1 there, and a driver spinning. I don't think he's all the way in the gravel trap. Let's see if he's able to get that car refired. But indeed, a driver has gone off in turn number 1. Yeah, he's able to get going. And you know, I think that just illustrates your point there, Anthony. You're still wound up, you're pumped up, and that driver tried to make a move to the inside of 1.
Yeah, 100%. He was obviously going a little bit too hard, and unfortunately just went around. I don't think there was any contact, and I think that was actually young Ricky Donison there. So, a bit unfortunate for him, but you know, I'm sure he'll fight back from that.
Yeah, Ricky Donaldson was trying to make a move. I think he came across the line in 12th position, had a look to the inside of Luke Gavin going into turn number 1. Just overcooked it a little bit. And there's an ability to carry a little bit of speed on the outside of turn number 1, Michael. You and I both know we've seen guys roll 2, 3, 2 wheels, 4 wheels off of the exit of 1. And sometimes I think that's just too much of an opportunity. It's risk reward, but there's just an opportunity these guys want to take.
Well, exactly. And Anthony, you can attest to this. There's not a big wall there. If you miss a turn, you're done for the day. Here, obviously, you're going to lose a lot of spots, and you're not going to force an issue that potentially you're going to lose. But you can push it a lot harder here, knowing that if you do have an off, potentially won't cost you an out in that team working on the car for the remainder of the day.
Yeah, for sure, and that's the difference between a street circuit and permanent road course, is that you can take the risks really early on, whereas a street circuit you really have to build up to that threshold. And here you can really push hard straight out of the gate, and you can see that from all these drivers right now pushing 110%.
Now, we've seen that in the past. Some fast cars will have an off. They'll come back, go to dead last, and work their way halfway back through the field. That it is possible to make up ground here, especially if you have a quick car. Obviously not something you want to do, but certainly something that can be done.
Let's have a look at the top 10 now as we're just a couple laps into this one. Oliver Askew with the lead. He's got about 0.6 of a second on Kalen Frederick now. Renus VK runs third. Robert McGinnis in fourth. Parker Thompson has been able to go to fifth. Dakota Dickerson in sixth position. Calvin Ming in seventh. Andre Castro now 8th, Corey Enders 9th, and Ayla Agron rounds out your top 10. Now, Michael, you and I have talked about it already on numerous occasions in earlier years. But again, here the season's now underway. The first round, kind of in the books. And at that treacherous street circuit, that the guys, maybe some of the veterans, may be a little more comfortable than the guys that are there as freshmen. You come here, though, and we're seeing the same names up top. Oliver Askew and Kalen Frederick Arenas VK. They're rookies, but they're so comfortable in these cars right now. McGinnis, Thompson, Dickerson, 4th, 5th, and 6th. They're the sophomores. We expected to see them up front now running still 4th, 5th, and 6th. But it's these rookies that really have kind of come to the forefront here to start 2017.
And I don't know, and Anthony, maybe you can attest to this more than anyone else. I just think the skill level and the talent level of these young drivers has changed so much that they start so young, but they have so many opportunities that by the time you hit this USF 2000, although it be the very first rung of this Mazda Road to Indy program, you bring so much skill, and a lot of times I think a lot of these drivers hop in and go, man, I like this better than karting. It just suits these drivers, I think, more so than karting in certain instances.
Yeah, for sure, and especially these days, the karting scene is a lot bigger and more professional, and the competition level is far greater than what it used to be, 20, 30 years ago. So it's definitely taught the young drivers to really develop in their skill level, and you can really notice it here, especially in the Mazda Road to Indy. And even though it is the first level, you can see the skill level that all these drivers have.
Moving our way through lap number 3 and working lap number 4, being told there could be a penalty for one of our drivers. Yes, indeed, it could be a drive-through penalty for the number 11, Corey Enders. Jumped the start.
Saw that.
Did you really?
Yeah,
I didn't. That's a tough one for Corey Enders. I was focused on the very sharp end of the grid. Enders currently running in the 9th position. And that's essentially a day ender, a drive-through like that. He'll make that long, slow crawl all the way down on the pit speed limiter. Oh, there's the driver, full 4 wheels off, trying to hold back on the track. Who was that? That's the number 92, Dev Gore. He was 4 wheels off coming onto the front straightaway. And you always have to watch when you're making that last jerk to try to bring the car back onto the pavement. It could bite, and I'll give Dev Gore some props there. Kept his foot in it, and he's actually stayed in front of the guys behind him.
Even worse is when you get down to 1, you still got a little bit of that debris on your tires, so you're going in a little tiptoe into turn number 1. But look at the pack of cars we have going into Charlotte's Web.
We got some great racing. I want to say that's a move for potentially – it's one of the Pabst racing cars that might have been – Calvin Ming going by Dickerson. I don't know. We'll have a look later by. It could have been Lucas Cole. I think it was Lucas Cole by Moises de Oliveira. Yep. So Lucas Cole, 23, by Moises de Oliveira. Tough with the black cars. Really hard to see the actual livery on the cars, as we do have so many team colors here. And sometimes you have to try to pick up the helmet color. And again, working their way down the back straightaway now. Fantastic start for Oliver Askew, though, as he continues to lead over Kalen Frederick. Michael not pulling away at all. It's been about 0.6 of a second the last couple of laps. Frederick just settling in here as the front 3 drivers trying to check out a bit. The number 21 jumbo-sponsored car of VK goes P3, but as I say that, Frederick resets fast lap of the race, still 0.6 of a second. And yeah, he was quicker by 1/100th of a second. So
you're not going to make up a lot of ground in 1/100th of a second.
He's not chopping his way into that gap at 100th of a second at a time.
Well, Oliver Askew, as done as he did in St. Petersburg, is just kind of taking command of this race and starting to drive away. Anthony, you did the same thing. And as a driver, you're out there in cruise control. Obviously, you have this mentality. You have to keep your wits about you. You know you're going to get pressure from behind. Well, you didn't necessarily because you had such a commanding lead in St. Petersburg. How do you keep from making a mistake at this point? I mean, you're still a young driver, and obviously it sounds like a mundane question. But really, when you're out there going, man, this is great. I've just blown everybody away. Do you ever find yourselves potentially at a lull where you could make a mistake and go, whoa, I got to get back up on this wheel again?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely very difficult being out in front, and it may look easy, but, I mean, even for me, you know, I hit the wall twice in the first race, and not many people know that, but there was a couple mistakes.
We didn't know that. Well, tell us about that.
Where's my pen? I got to write this down for later.
Anthony Martin made a mistake. 1-2.
Yeah, still on top of the podium both times. Nobody cares.
Yeah, so, you know, one was in the first lap when the adrenaline was pumping through, and, you know, I went a bit hard into turn 3 there, you know, the newly configured course that they changed, and, yeah, I mean, it's extremely difficult, but, you know, you just have to really focus on what's in front of you, and hopefully that being nothing, and really sort of stay out of your mirrors and focus on hitting all your marks and really all your technique and what you've really worked up to.
How many turns does it take you to realize whether the car has been damaged or not?
You would know within 1 or 2 turns. If it's pretty bad, then you know you'll know pretty much straight away. But if it's a slight kink in the suspension, then it'll take a couple turns to realise. You know, fortunately, the Cape car is built pretty strong, so no damage was suffered.
I tell you, we have a battle going on further back in the pack here right now, Michael. It is unbelievable to watch. Moises De Oliveira in 16th, Bruno Tomaselli in 17th rather. Flynn Lazier, Dev Gore, Colin Kaminsky, Darren Keene, Chandler Horton, all in the middle of a battle, and they were too wide in 1. They went too wide coming down into 5. We're talking about racing outside the top 15. And these guys are just hammering it out every corner.
They're about as evenly matched as any other cars on the track. And every time they come down to turn number 5, you see 5, 6, 7 of them all pack up together. They'll start darting inside and out. Fingers crossed they all make it through the rest of this race. They're very racy. We'll start very early in this race, still 20 minutes to go.
I'll tell you who I'm impressed with right now is Flynn Lazier. Obviously, Dev Gore and Moises De Oliveira, they've got a race already in their books. Flynn raced Formula V last year, coming out of karting, Formula V, super low horsepower, all about momentum. Jumped into a Formula E this year and has already won in the Formula E competition. He's going to try to go to the runoffs and see if he can't win in the Formula E category at the SCCA runoffs, which is at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway this year. He's just getting a feel for this race car right now. I talked to his dad, Buddy Lazier, and the funny thing is all the car racing they've done so far, Buddy's kind of been his engineer. They've worked together. Buddy's stepping back. And when I said, you know what, I'm proud of you because sometimes you got to throw, you throw to your son or your daughter into the wolves to a certain extent. He's pushing Flynn to work with the existing engineering base at Newman Walks Racing. He's just sitting back. It may be easier if he was working with his dad. He may be a bit quicker, but right now having to kind of educate himself and get more in tune with the engineers of the team, this is really going to pressure him, and I think he'll probably rise to the occasion. I like seeing this kind of pressure being put on a young kid to kind of adapt to the situation.
Well, it's kind of that comfort thing, right? So you're working with your dad, and you know what your dad and your relationship is. Obviously, your dad's very successful. You see it with Graham and Bobby Rahal, Marco and Michael Andretti. You see that, but at a certain point, those relationships start to blend and change, and then the dad turns into my coach, and why are you my coach? You're supposed to be my dad, and then things start to change. So for Buddy to take a step back this early, I think is great. He can still end a little comment here or there or help him here or there, but I think the more he steps back, the potential for Flynn a lot greater.
Well, they're in a great little battle. As we said, that's 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, and I believe 20th all kind of running together on track. In fact, even 21st and 22nd right in there. So just that group separated by just over about a second and a half, and, man, they're just really putting a show on. Up front, though, Askew, Frederick, and VK still 1, 2, 3. Gap now down to 0.4 of a second as VK is Frederick's kind of closed up a little bit. Right now it is Robert McGinnis all by himself in the 4th spot. Similarly, Parker Thompson in 5th. Got a nice little half-second lead over Dakota Dickerson. Dickerson's got 0.4 on Calvin Ming, so it's essentially a top 7 group breaking away because Andre Castro is a full 4 seconds now behind Calvin Ming, running in the 8th spot. 9th position is Isla Agron, and 10th is Luke Gavin. Bailey Mickler right there running 11th as well. And it's interesting. They've been working on that car, getting that chassis set up the way Bailey likes it. Made a lot of changes throughout this weekend already, trying to find more speed for him. And they just keep going quicker and quicker.
Yeah, the last warning for De La Vera for blocking. He and Tomaselli are just fighting. I watched him go through turns 5 and 6, and that 12 car was moving left and moving right. So a potential penalty if he continues his shenanigans for De La Vera. Tomaselli, and he battling for that 16th position.
Well, and you know, when you raise the ire and grab the eye of race control, you better heed, because I don't know, those of you may be listening in or enjoying the beautiful sun here around the race course. There's a room up near us here up at start finish with about 1,000 TVs. I'm going to say probably 8, 9, 10 TVs, whatever it may be.
I thought you were going to say 8, 9, 10,000 TVs.
No, well, not that many.
There's a lot of
There's
TVs.
a lot of, let's put it this way. They can see every corner on this racetrack.
It has its own glow when you walk into that room.
It does. So they're watching. And there are some pretty experienced race control people here, the race directors. And if you do something wrong, they're going to find it. And it's taped as well. So it's not like it's a one-time deal. They can just rewind that tape and see the issue. So they've given De La Vera the warning. Here comes Tomaselli, though. I'm impressed with what she's doing right now, too, Michael. Remember, Bruna Tomaselli, a young lady from Brazil. She's done some Brazilian F3 racing. She also raced at St. Petersburg, but she ran the older car, the national car. She ran the car from 2016.
Goran Keene going at it now down into turn number 8.
There goes Darren Keene to the inside. Book it. Darren Keene to the inside as they come down that downhill right, left, right combination. So Darren Keene able to get by Dev Gore. That's for 18th spot. Keene had just set his fast lap of the race. Good pickup for Michael to watch that battle coming out of 7 over to turn 8, 9, and 10. But again, Tomaselli, as we said, ran in the national class, the older car at St. Petersburg. Finally said, you know what, let's just jump in full 2 feet in. Let's just do it with Arms Up Motorsports. And I'm impressed with what she's doing right now. She's getting really racy, which is always nice to see.
USF 2000 champion Anthony Martin joins us in the public address booth. Anthony, for you, what's your favorite spot on this course to pass? The most opportunistic for you?
For sure, it would have to be turn 5, or Charlotte's Web down there. It is very difficult to get a pass, finish down there, and requires a really good run out of turn 2. But it's definitely doable, and really it's the biggest or the easiest one, I would say, on the track, even though it isn't very easy. So, yeah, I remember quite a few passes back in my heyday in USF last year. Just like that.
Yeah, call it, Anthony. There comes around the outside. Tomaselli trying the outside of De La Vera. They're side by side coming up 5 through 6. They are side by side. Tomaselli to the inside, De La Vera to the outside. Let's see who pulls up on the brakes. Tomaselli to the inside. Oh, they slide through. Little contact. Coming back down through.
Wow, really bunched the field up as well.
I think that maybe De La Vera might have held her back. Great battle on the racetrack, and kudos to the camera crew for picking this up. This is the battle we're watching. I like it.
Bruna had the position
no
going down into turn number 8, and however it happened, if she didn't brake late enough and De La Vera got that,
she might have overshot the corner too.
That could have been, but certainly bunched that rest of that group up. They had started to break away from that 6-car pack, and now they're right back together.
That is 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21, and 22 all running together and having a battle like they're going for the race win. De La Vera still holding off Tomaselli. They'll work the way up the straightaway here again. Again, this is for 16th position, but a great find. Here goes Tomaselli. Deep under the brakes into turn number 1. Book it. She's through. That was the way to get the job done. Anthony, you've done that before. That's decisive. Go to the corner. Take that apex and take the exit.
Yeah, that was a really well executed pass. Got straight past, on the entry, and she's still currently in front. But by the looks of it, she won't be there for long because they're very working hard behind him to get in front.
De La Vera now, I believe, has Darren Keene right on the rear bumper here. Darren Keene getting a good run. That's one of the Bennett entries. And a good fight between Lazier and Gore a little further back. That's for 19th and 20th. Lazier with the 19th spot. Gore goes back to 20th. Chandler Horton now trying to get by Colin Kaminsky. So good racing further back in the field. Oh, full course yellow. This will change things with 13 minutes to go. Full course yellow. The number 2 of Ricky Donison off in turn number 7.
So it's right over
Another
here.
driver off here. There's a driver off over here in turn number 17.
Yeah, turn 17.
Okay, turn 17, beached off the track.
I didn't see anybody out in 7, but certainly 17.
Interesting to make that move, Anthony. How do you get that far out? You just totally miss the braking zone coming into turn 17, or just get the car maybe a little sideways coming in?
Well, turn 17, especially in USF 2000, you're not actually braking through there, so it's very close to flat. So, of course, all the drivers out there would be on the limit going through there, and I think he may have just gone a little bit too hard.
Wheels off, and next thing you know, you're in the gravel.
That's just a weird place to be, because it just seems like even if you went wheels off, you would have been farther down the racetrack. Luckily, he wasn't, because further down the racetrack might find himself in the Armco barrier. We've seen that many times.
You might have been on the outside of a car on your inside, and they helped you to that gravel track
and one good thing is he's not, at this point, they're going to be able to pull him out here pretty quickly. We've got 12 minutes remaining in this race, but what this does is stack them all up again.
It helps us to talk about the front of the field as well. So
I was enjoying 16 through 22, but
everybody listening, it's like, what's going on with the leaders? Nothing has really changed since the start of this race. Oliver Askew's been in command. Frederick, VK, McGinnis, and Thompson. Although Dakota Dickerson and Parker Thompson had a little battle going on, but then that wasn't as decisive as a battle as Thompson able to hold Dickerson off. Ming started to make a battle with Dickerson for 6 for a little while.
He closed up.
Yeah, he closed up. And the nice thing about the top 4, I think once Oliver got his lead and Kalen Frederick got back to second, everybody stayed about the same. It wasn't like our top 4 and 5 were falling back and Askew was pulling away. Everybody was holding about the same distance. So that tells me everybody's just kind of waiting for the latter part of this race. And what better time to make an attempt for a pass than going back to green with 10 minutes remaining.
Let's ask Anthony Martin that. Anthony, obviously the driver for Cape Motorsports, the Soul Red Mazda. He is the reigning USF 2000 champion, and watching intently here as this battle gets ready to get back underway. Restarts, Anthony. Obviously different mindset for Oliver Askew than Kalen Frederick. What are your thoughts first when you're leading? What's the deal?
Well, big thing is to sort of out-jump the driver behind you, and it's a lot easier said than done, I must admit, but it's really just catching the driver behind you off guard and seeing if you can get a bit of a jump just, down the main straight just to break that lead, especially into the passing zone into turn 5.
So it seemed, to me, would seem like a lifetime. Coming out of 17, going down to turn 1. You try to get the jump. Let's say you don't get the jump. And you can't really block, but you're kind of making and forcing the issue that I'm still in the lead. How much do you stay on the offensive or defensive? It's a fine balance. The gears have just got to be turning. Yeah,
100%. It's very difficult. The way I look at it, if the driver looks like he's going to pass, you have to try keep him behind you. So, just block him, obviously to the maximum that you can, and keep him behind you.
You see the twinkle in his eye?
It was a special kind of blocking.
Do I call block?
Right.
You defend your position.
It's defending.
Defend my position.
Defend.
Right.
Use that.
The correct term is defend.
Defend.
There you go, yeah.
There you go. See, we're just on the public address and worldwide, but other than that,
you're
blocking,
okay.
Defending, you're all right.
Yeah, and of course I've never blocked before. I wouldn't do anything like that.
No. But you've won a championship, so you've blocked at least once. So let's just put that straight out there. Again, different mindset. Let's go back to the driver sitting second right now, and you've been that place before too. And your same thing. You know he's going to try to jump you. You know he's potentially going to try to defend his position. What are your thoughts? Are you looking to? Can you make a jump on him? Do you try to maybe beat him to the jump?
As the rules sort of say, you're not really allowed to jump before him, but you just have to basically get on the throttle, within the quickest reaction time that you can. When you see him go, you have to go as quick as you can, and that's where reaction time does come into play. Because if you can get right on his tail coming down the main straight here, you can really go for it into turn 1.
So as a driver, you are aware there are rules. That's good. I was unaware. Sometimes I wonder about you guys when you get out there.
Well, they put a little sticky on the steering wheel with a couple of the rules, but the drivers don't usually ever read that.
As second, so you're running second. Let's say you don't get the jump. Now you got somebody climbing all over your rear wing for third. You're not only on the offensive, but you're on the defensive as well. The mindset when that's going on, especially if you think you can overtake the leader, but you got somebody behind you coming for third. Now, hey, hang on a second. I'm trying to get the lead. It can really throw everything, your plans out the window.
Yeah, second to me is probably the hardest position to be in, especially on a restart, because one, you've lost all the aero wash off the car in front, so your car isn't handling the greatest, and especially around the high-speed turn 2 here, it's going to be very difficult to keep it on the track, and that's where the third place guy can really make a jump on you. So that's really where you really have to focus on getting the car settled down, because there's going to be a lot less grip, and you really have to push hard to keep the guy behind you, and really it's very difficult, but you just have to change your line around and really focus on getting a good exit.
We've reset things here, folks. A yellow coming out with about 12 minutes remaining. It's been somewhere around about a 4.5 minute yellow. They, in fact, were able to extricate Ricky Donison's Tatis USF 17 from the gravel on the outside of turn 17. He was able to get back under power and has rejoined the tail of the field. So we are about to roll once again. Oliver Askew will start at the front of a single file restart. He will set the pace as they come out of turn 17. It'll be his call to punch off to get things underway, and you've been able to get some insight on what's going to happen here, whether you're P1 or you're P2. If you're further back from P2, just get on it and get it in there and try not to make any mistakes. We're set to go. 6.5 minutes remaining. Coming out. Green flag will fly. We're back at it. Green, green, green. 6.5 to go in round number 3 of the USF 2000 Championship. Expert start for Oliver Askew. He handled that very nicely. Was able to get about a 3 or 4 car length jump over Kalen Frederick, and they'll work their way through the Alabama roller coaster. Frederick not that far behind. They'll make that crawl back up here. They crest the hill right at the scoring tower, the pylon, and head back down into the hard braking zone. Again, a downhill braking zone, a little longer than usual, and they will all stack them up once again. Looking pretty good with Askew as your leader. Frederick second.
Contacted turn 6.
Contacted 6. That's one of the Comiskey cars. He's lost the front wing. One of the Comiskey cars off the racetrack. His wing looks to be intact. Somebody else has lost a wing. Not sure if that is either Bailey Mickler or potentially Chris Wright. Mickler was running in 11th. Chris Wright behind him in 15th position. So contact in turn number 5 as we stack them up over there. They're hoping to see if they can get this car refired. Just a local yellow right now. 5.5 minutes remaining. That John Comiskey racing driver able to refire and pull back. So he is back underway. Can't see the number from here. So unsure of which driver that is for the JCR squad.
Looks like that's Bailey Mickler, I think.
You guys are good friends from Australia.
Yeah.
He's like,
we go way back.
But trying to figure out which driver indeed was the number 33 of Bailey Mickler. He was running 11th. That was a tough one for Bailey. So they'll roll across the line to get things back underway. Let's give you the lineup here. Askew, Frederick, VK, McGinnis, and Thompson maintain their spots. Dickerson, Ming, Castro, Agron, and now Luke Gavin in 10th. So no change at all in the top 10. Mickler's going to fall down the order, as we said. That's going to move Sowery up into 11th, the third-place finisher in last year's British F3 Championship. A one-off here today with Bennick.
Boy, Agron and Castro, the great battle right there. Agron able to get around in turn number 6. Nice pass.
That's for 8th position, Michael. Great job there for Isla Agron. Her 3rd year in the series. Started the program here with Team Pelfrey. Moved to John Comiskey Racing last year. We thought she may be back with Comiskey here for 2017, but moved back to Team Pelfrey. So she now runs up in the 8th position after what you said was a fantastic pass on Andre Castro. So again, drivers settling in for this final run, Michael. 4 minutes to go.
I just watching Kalen Frederick as he made it out of turn number 10, starting to close in on Oliver Askew. So the closing laps of this, the 3rd round of this 2017 campaign for the USF 2000 Series. Oliver Askew has led from the green, but Kalen Frederick starting to battle back. Again, just 4 minutes remaining as yet less than, I'd say, 4 car lengths separate our leader from Kalen Frederick in 2nd position.
So check this. Driver getting a penalty for that contact over in turn number 5, the 23 of Lucas Cole, I believe.
Yep.
Unofficially a drive-through penalty for Lucas Cole. And in fact, yes, he's already fallen down to the tail of the field. He was just outside the top 10. So drive-through for Cole. Contact with Bailey Mickler over in turn number 5. Watching now the leaders start to stack things up. Top 7 drivers fairly close together here, Michael, separated by just 3 seconds. Askew, Frederick, VK, McGinnis, Thompson, Dickerson, and Ming.
Oliver Askew in the, just as he made his way out of turn number 7, swung it way wide, and Kalen Frederick is right in his tire tracks. I mean, wherever Oliver Askew goes, Kalen Frederick goes. As they make their way down the back portion of the circuit, we will see the car streak into view. Now down to 3 car lengths. The separation between Askew and Frederick for second place. That's the battle for the lead. 2.5 minutes remaining in round number 3.
He has the fast lap time of 1:24.9. Kalen Frederick, he's trying to close now on Askew.
Oh, he's really getting close.
2.5 minutes remaining. 2.5 to go. Askew, Frederick, VK, McGinnis, and Thompson, your top 5. We'll look at lap times. This time by, what's it going to be? 25.4, 25.2. Frederick quicker by 0.2 of a second. Almost 2 minutes remaining. We may get 2 laps. White flag next time by. 2 to go. This one in 1 more for the young 14-year-old Kalen Frederick. Deep on the brakes into turn number 5. He closes up another length, but you go deep on the brakes means it's hard to get back on the throttle, and he'll lose a little bit coming out of the corner. Up over the rumbles on the extra 5 through 6. Again, that straightaway that heads down into that nice combination back down the hill. Number 23 of Lucas Cole into pit lane. He will park it, as did the 33 of Mickler. So we have a battle for the lead now, Michael. 1.5 minutes remaining, and that's going to be white flag this time by. Down the back straightaway.
About the same distance.
Yeah, let's call that 2 or 3 kart lengths. Such a challenging racetrack, and you know Frederick would like to get the win, but he's just had such a good, solid, strong start to the season. A top 3 finish, a second place here, would be so great for a young kid. 14 years of age, still turned 15 this year, ran in the F1600 series last year. And here we go. White flag will fly. Oliver Askew looking to score his second win of the year and stretch that point lead. Frederick, though, giving chase. VK again with a consistent run. This is just such great racing here. Askew leading. Last time by was 0.4 of a second. As Askew went about 1/10 quicker. He found a little more. Again, here's the one, as Anthony told you, the big passing zone down to 5. Frederick not close. Look at VK coming, Michael. Renus VK coming from 3rd. And we've talked about that. Anthony brought it up. You got to worry about that guy behind you as well. White flag flying, 1 to go.
I think Frederick was really pushing to try to get around Askew, and that opened the door for VK to actually close up. Now they're back to settling it back in. A gap between 1st and 2nd, about 3 car lengths, and then the gap from Frederick to VK for 2nd.
Driver off. Where is that, Michael?
That's down in turn number 8.
Somebody hung up in turn number 8 up on top of the rumbles. High centered. They're going to go checker flag next time by, I think. We're not going to go full course. This race will be over before they'll have to go back there. We're not sure which driver that is. But coming down the back straightaway, nice little advantage here right now for Oliver Askew as he's leading. Askew probably about 0.5 second. He'll work his way up to the top part of the racetrack. 15, 16, down to 17. Frederick closes it within about 1.5 lengths. Out of turns, look at Frederick on him. Down the hill through 17. Coming to the line. Does Frederick have anything for him? Double checker being waved here at start finish. The win, and at the wall comes Oliver Askew, victorious here at Barber Motorsports Park. Race number 3 of the series, front end of the doubleheader. Oliver Askew winning over Kalen Frederick, Renus VK, Robert McGinnis, and Parker Thompson. Just 0.2 of a second was the gap at the line.
Tell me about the race, man.
It was close. I was pushing 0.10 the whole time to keep Kalen behind me. My Cape Motorsports Mazda USF 2000 car was fantastic. Cooper tires were gripping up good through that 30-minute stint. I can't thank the guys enough for giving me the opportunity to be here. So we're extending our points lead now. I feel fantastic. I love this track, and I'm having a great time.
It's hot out here. You worn out?
Extremely.
All right, good job. Better luck getting out of that car next time, okay?
Yeah, thanks.
Oliver Askew, your winner here in Alabama.